My guest is seated. I have in studio Kamal Deen Abdulai, who is a deputy communications person from the NPP. And I also have, let me say good morning to you first of all. Good morning.
Good morning, my brother.
How are you doing?
David, your name?
Yes.
Right.
Yes. How are you doing?
I'm terrific. Doing well.
Yeah. All the things going on in politics in Ghana today, you're comfortable? Everything nice? Everything good for you?
Once again, good morning to you. Good morning to the viewers out there. And of course, you asked whether or not whatever is going on in this country, we are comfortable. Obviously, you cannot have it 100%. It goes with positives and negatives.
Yeah.
No government will tout or can tout that, look, for me, I have been so 100% and I have everything done well.
Yeah.
However, on the balance, you would say that, look, policies, initiatives churned out by this government for us to consume as a people, for us to imbibe in as a people, of course, pretty looks good. And I will say that commendations goes to the president, commendations to his appointees for where we are today. 3 years down the line, if you look at the front page of the daily graphic, it tells you a story. It tells you some 14,000 teachers to be engaged.
Yeah.
And of course, 3 years down the line, if you're going to look at it cumulatively, we have engaged close to 66,000 teachers.
Okay.
66,000 teachers. These are positives. Let me also be quick to add that I saw in the social media, I don't know how true that is, that your CEO, Sam Mensah, has appointed himself as an ambassador for rice, local rice consumption.
Absolutely.
That's a great one. I share in his sentiment. If it's true, I'm also part of it. I've been running for it. And of course, this government, you asked whether what is happening now is good. This government has had cause to implement what we call the planting for food and jobs.
Yeah.
And as a result, we now have bumper harvests everywhere. Rice farmers in Fumbisi, we look at the front page of the daily graphic, are appealing for buyers.
Yeah.
And of course, government entity called NAFCO is out there to assist.
All right.
And of course, this is where I would say that let us consume what we have. Let us try to adore what we have as a people. Let us try to localize. In the words of the Prime Minister then in 1969, K. Buzia, he said, the Ghananization of our economy is necessary. We must Ghananize our economy. Let us help each other so we can move on. This is what the government is doing. And of course, at the end of the day, I share in the sentiment of some.
We'll come back and have conversations. Sure. Yeah. All right. So let me also introduce my other guest to you, dear Mensah Opoku, who is the host of The Chamber, as well as the, what's the other show that you host?
Press conference. Press conference,
absolutely. All right. Good morning, Duke. How are you doing?
Morning. I'm well.
You good?
Yeah.
Yeah, you look very pensive.
Oh, I'm fine. Just that. Well, but that's the work we do. So I was about to say I didn't get enough rest, but it's part of the work.
Yeah, I know. Well, yes, like you're saying, you're right. We don't get enough rest, do we?
It's part of the job.
Good morning,
all right. So let's begin a conversation. We want to talk about the 2020 budget. Government has been accused of allocating 6 million Ghana cedis in the budget to NPP Communicators. I'm going to read a story quickly to you, and then I'm going to engage my guests. So, government, this is on citynewsroom.com. Government accused of allocating 6 million Ghana cedis to NPP Communicators in the 2020 budget. A budget line in the 2020 budget has come under scrutiny as being a possible tool to fund NPP Communicators. The issue was first raised by the ranking member of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Agriculture, Food and Cocoa Affairs, Eric Opoku, on the floor of Parliament on Wednesday. He noted that there was a 6 million Ghana cedi allocation to government communication in the budget under the section for expenditure under government flagship programs. In his submission, Mr. Opoku said more clarity was needed on that budget line. Mr. Speaker, and I quote, that program is to cost the Ghanaian taxpayer 6 million Ghana cedis. Information on this program is scanty in the budget, and to erase the impression that in an election year, the government intends to use state resources to pay NPP communicators, we demand further and better particulars. All right. So, story goes on to say, speaking on Eyewitness News later on, the member of Parliament for the Ningo Prampram constituency, Sam George, said he was convinced that the government was taking taxpayer money and putting it into partisan affairs. He argued that the various flagship policies already had funding for communication. Almost all of these flagship programs have a secretariat, and those secretariats have spokespersons. Again, they have sectorial spokespersons. But Deputy Information Minister Pius Enam Hajide, however, defended the budget line as necessary to government's communication strategy. Also speaking on Eyewitness News, he said the money was in service of an open and transparent government system. The instructions of His Excellency, and I quote, that the Ministry of Information, which has the mandate for informing the people of Ghana on the projects, programs, and policies of the government, we have to pay particular attention to educating people about how far-reaching implications of these flagship policies with the view that we can carry the people with the government. All right, let me come to you, Kamal. So people have raised questions. The minority has raised questions in Parliament and are asking for further and better particulars. Obviously, if this is in the budget, it's money that is being proposed that it would be spent in that way. Is there any cause for worry?
Thank you so much, David. Let me take the tail end of your question, your line of questioning. It is money that was spent in that way. Which way?
To propagate, according to the budget line, it's to promote the communication on what government has done and is doing.
You see, I think that Citi TV and for that matter Citi, FM and other its affiliates or sister stations are too big a platform to be used for propaganda. Too big.
What do you mean by that?
I'm just coming there. Why? You go to Parliament, you're supposed to debate a particular budget or fiscal policy laid before you. It has been itemized. You are told what this is meant for, what that is meant for.
Yeah.
And clearly, if you look at what is in that line, it says government communication.
Yes.
But in Parliament, someone sits down and makes a statement and say it's for NPP communication. Is that not propaganda?
But the government is an NPP government.
No.
So
the government is still government. So the president is NPP president and not the president of Ghana?
He's the president of Ghana.
Absolutely. We are talking the executive here, arm of government. We are talking the judiciary. We are talking the legislature. These are the arms of government that we have. A document has been brought from the executive to the arm of government called legislature. Let's debate it. Let us find it whether prudent or not prudent, so we can pass it or otherwise.
But is that not part
then
of the
one gets up,
process?
with a great respect, one gets up to say it's meant for NPP communicators, when in fact you look at the document, it doesn't say so. Is that propaganda or not propaganda?
Well, he's raising a question. He says that bring further and better particulars, because you are now saying that, and then also what Sam George said.
Yes.
What Sam George said was every portfolio, if every flagship program already has communication inbuilt. Okay, so then how do you set aside special money for further communication?
You see, these are questions. These are legit. These are questions.
So
excuse me.
We're
These
looking
are
for you to
questions
provide
you can
some
ask.
answers.
But when
for
you
us.
try to skew and when you try to spin it, try to say you want to do propaganda and draw in NPP as a political party, then you are not being genuine to the people of Ghana. And I'm saying that don't be disingenuous. Speak to the subject matter. ask questions. No one is gagging you from asking questions. Why government communication out? There's an item for it.
For that, yeah.
Let explanation come. The person who presented the fiscal policy to you is available. You have the right within you as a house to still invite him to come defend it, either at committee level or on the floor of parliament.
Yeah.
Then you choose to say, let me run into town with this and do propaganda. Then give it a headline. NPP Communicators to be given 6 million Ghana cedis. That is pathetic. That's the point I'm making. Governance is a complex business. It's not for jokes. Let's get serious in this country. I'm being honest with you. It's a very complex job, and it's not meant for jokes.
Okay.
So if I go to read a headline, 6 million for NPP Communicators, it is misleading, completely misinforming the public. You poison the atmosphere.
No, but this is something that
some are not doing it. Some just said it. Not you. I'm not blaming Citi at all. I'm saying that if they come to throw this out there, just for us to run with, and at the end of the day, they take advantage of a huge platform like this, try to throw in garbage and call it communication piece. It's pathetic. So I'm saying, you have the right as minority. They also have the right as majority to all discuss this subject matter and then come to a conclusion whether or not it's worth it. If it's not worth it, you don't pass it. If it's worth it, you pass it. That is why we have dissenting views. When it gets there and you think you are dissenting, you dissent and let it go on record that, or in the hands that the majority have passed this for government communication.
Okay.
That's the point I'm making.
What's your response to this? Almost all the flagship programs have a secretariat, and those secretariats have spokespersons. Again, they have sectorial spokespersons. This is from Sam George. What is your response to that?
It's very interesting. When I saw this item, I took my time and perused the 2016 budget. Their last budget before they left power. And of course, I looked at the appendix section. And when you look at the item 49, it talks about general government services. Okay? General government services, which was passed. And the allocation there is close to almost 6 million. That was 560 million.
5 million.
5 million, 60,000 something. Okay, almost 6 million, as it were. Question is, it was approved. The Secretary budget that. Check the appendix and look at item 49. I'm telling you. And the title is General Government Services. What is General Government Services? You see, budgets are actually given, and contingencies sometimes come up as it were. Miscellaneous that we call them sometimes in some other organization. This comes up. But government communication, you now argue that this person has PRO, that person has this, that person has this. Of course, there are instances where you would need to inculcate in certain expenditure. Have you made room for it? No. Then you create a room for it. I'm not suggesting that this particular one is the explanation that I'm giving. However, I'm saying that even in their own budget statement, the 2016 budget, Appendix 49, look at it. It tells you government general services. What is general service of government?
But, okay, fair enough.
So we have that.
But then you still haven't answered my question.
I've answered your question. Your question
because you see, you've answered my question by pointing to the fact that they also did it.
Oh no, that's not just it. I'm telling you, I answered your question by telling you that there is a principle. There is a general precedent that says that, look, when at the end of the day, even though we have all these outfits doing XYZ, however, in budgets, that we make room for contingencies, we make room for miscellaneous, we make room for other, if you like, addendums. And those addendums, of course, take care of issues that maybe might arise or issues that even exist, which are not captured under this institution you're talking about. Then maybe government will have to explain this for us to get the clarity of it. But to run into town and do again propaganda is pathetic and it's wobbling, and of course, it is at the end of the day beats the imagination of people who are logical.
All right, okay. You. What are your comments on this? Is there anything for us to be concerned about?
First of all, I think it's absolutely mischievous for the minority, and thankfully I was in Parliament when this issue came up. Yes, for the minority to have said that 6 million is being allocated to NPP Communicators, because that's not true. And when the Speaker took Opoku on, he could not substantiate the claims he was making to the point that he had to make Opoku withdraw. That's the statement.
I see.
But that does not in any way justify the budgeting of 6 million Ghana cedis for government communications. It doesn't.
Take us into that.
It doesn't. There is 140 million Ghana cedis budgeted for the Ministry of Information in this 2020 budget. Take goods and services and compensations, emoluments, and others aside. there's still a substantial amount of money for the Ministry of Information, which is the official mouthpiece of government, to be able to spend running communications, telling Ghanaians the gospel of the Akufo-Addo administration, 140 million.
Okay.
So let's say, give or take, even 60 million goes into goods and services compensation and the rest. There's 80 million for that ministry to run its operations. When we look at the communication setup of government, there are various areas that are in dire need of funds. Look at the ISD,
absolutely,
Information Services Department. I mean, when we're growing up in villages, you would have these cine vans. You would have them. You would have, cars fitted with speakers, microphones up.
The yellow and green vans.
Yes, going around, giving announcements and all. What happened to all those institutions? The last time we heard of the ISD was when that colossal, not colossal, but such a huge mistake was done with the printing of brochures for independence when Uhuru Kenyatta was said to be the president of Ghana. That's the last public, public interaction, huge. The last time the ISD came into the public picture was for the very wrong reason. It's dying. It's dying. GNA.
And it's purely lack of funding?
Yes, lack of funding. And neglect. Years of neglect. ISDs, they are there. There's a GNA, Ghana News Agency. Yes. It was set up by Nkrumah to rival some of the best newswire agencies in the world, Reuters and the rest. That's the mindset with which the GNA was set up, to the point that they even have an international office now in London, the United Kingdom. I wonder why we still keep that office, but it's still there. Maybe keeping in tandem with the original vision and the intent with which that organization is set up. Is the GNA rubbing shoulders even with some of the top newswire services, even in Africa, or even in West Africa? No, but that GNA or that agency is still under the ambit of government communications and the Ghana News and the Ministry of Information. Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. Just 2 weeks ago, the National Media Commission went to the president, and a huge debt of 25 million Ghana cedis owed to the electricity company of Ghana, ECG, and which is seriously affecting the operations of the state broadcaster. Who does public service broadcasting in this country to the benefit of government more than the GBC? Who is carrying all the media press service? Who is carrying all the sword cutting and inauguration ceremonies? It's GBC, and they are in debt of 25 million Ghana cedis, and we have 6 million Ghana cedis for communications, government communications.
That's 6 million
Ghana cedis. 6 million Ghana cedis.
You know what?
We have 6 million Ghana cedis for communications, and we say what? I think we need clarity on exactly what that is going to be, what that is going to be used for. If the explanation that was given by Pius is anything to go by, yesterday he said that it is going to go into explaining the benefits and the utility of these government flagship programs. And note that the government communications is captured under a budget item, flagship programs. So it mentions free SHS, it mentions LEAP, it mentions planting for food and jobs, it mentions one district, one factory, it mentions all those government initiatives. And pegged in there somewhere, it's 6 million Ghana cedis for government communications. I think that sometimes government invites unnecessary controversies onto itself. This could have been captured, say, under the Ministry of Information, or it could have been captured. It could have even been captured into the operations and the running cost of all of these government. I think that this is a needless controversy, and even if we have money to spend, it should go into how about spending this 6 million, empowering the ISD and other agencies and under the information ministry to do the work that is supposed to be done, putting it elsewhere. We don't have a lot of clarity on how this money is going to be. And we are in Ghana. Before we realize that money has been diverted in something else, and it becomes a huge issue. And then it would have been better saved if it had even been sent into doing something else rather than being budgeted for communications.
Is he?
Okay. David. No, sorry, I'll come back to you just yes. We need to take a short break. We'll be right back. Please don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back, and we're having a conversation about the 2020 budget and the budget line that seems to have rubbed some people the wrong way, and government is looking at defending its position on that. Duke, any final thoughts on that?
So I'm saying that I think there has to be clarity. Thankfully, the debate is still going on. It's an opportunity, even though the Minister of Information has already taken his turn to debate the budget. I think he did that on the first day of the debate on Monday. But the budget debate is going to run up till next week, Tuesday, when it's going to be wrapped up by the majority and the minority leader. I think the majority leader should take pains to get some information, extra information about exactly what this money is going to be used for, and then put it out there in Parliament.
Okay. Any final thoughts?
A quick one. You see, Duke, you rightly made some comments, okay, that as people who think about Ghana and who think positive, we should not just rush to be mischievous. It kills the matter, it kills the debate, and it doesn't promote any healthy debate in the near future. Fine, let's put that aside. However, you have mentioned ISD in your comment. You have mentioned GBC. You have mentioned other government organizations that, of course, help in sometimes publicity when it comes to government, programs, as it were, who are suffering because of lowness of means. Then, like I said earlier on, a budget is to be put in place. Does not mean that the answer is going to be the actual expenditure. Then there's a thinking. Now, look, why don't we set aside some component in the budget? As and when the need arises that we need to inject certain small money into publicity or into something that comes out. A good example is the referendum that we are going to have now, 2017. EC is running, but however, NCCE is supposed to do some publicity. Okay, how much money have we given them for publicity? Should this budget be passed and proposed, and there's money sitting there like that, we can quickly write from there.
But the money for NCCE should have been in last year's budget, not this year's budget.
Oh no, it's an example I'm giving. I'm just giving an example that in the future, if we have something like that, then of course we have contemplated that, and we have some money put in place. We say, let's get some money out of there because we have made provision for it, so that we will not jeopardize this country by going into deficits again or coming to Parliament to do some supplementary budgets, as it were. We have run this thinking is right. Then someone says that I want to do propaganda and say Kamal is talking for NPP, therefore he's going to be paid out of the 6 million. I mean, and you want Ghanaians to consume this, and you say you are an alternative, they should vote for you. Is that the kind of thinking you have?
All right,
the alternative is in this carry.
Okay, all right. So let's go to the next story. Western Togoland. Secessionist leaders flee arrest. The story is on page 17 of the Daily Graphic. Let me quickly read it for you, and then we'll have the conversation about that. Secessionist leaders flee arrest. 10 arrested. Citizenship ID cards, emblems, currency notes retrieved. All right. Hordes of citizenship ID cards, national emblems, and currency notes of the so-called Western Togoland were retrieved by the security agencies during a raid on the residence of the leader of the Secessionist Homeland Study Group Foundation in Ho on Tuesday. 10 more people were arrested in the swoop carried out jointly by the police, army, and the Bureau of National Investigation on the house. The leader, Charles Kujoji, was not at home at the time. Among those picked up were his wife, 3 other women, and 6 men. This brings to 11 the number of people arrested so far in connection with the Declaration of Independence for the Volta and Oti regions by the HSGF in Ho last Saturday. We are searching for several other members of the group, said Superintendent Anthony Danso, Ho Municipal Police Commander. He said in an interview that the suspects who were being investigated for treason felony would soon be processed for court. The Municipal Police Commander did not disclose the identities of the other suspects. Superintendent Danso entreated members of the public to go about their daily activities without any fear, saying the security agencies were in control of the situation. A Ho-based Togolese pastor, God's friend Edem Peter, who played a role of the master of ceremonies at the Independence Declaration Durbar, was the first to be picked up by the police. All right, Duke.
See, we are not at the birth of this state. We're not a homogeneous unit. We're not one homogeneous unit.
Yeah.
We are
True.
We are a state of various nations cobbled together by circumstances and by colonialism. That's how come we have Ghana, and we've gone on to have over 60 years now.
Yeah.
So from time to time, some of these things happen. We've not had any of such issues turn quite violent to maybe the levels of Biafra or as is happening in other parts of the
South Sudan,
other parts of the world. I think that we are treating this issue with kid's gloves.
Absolutely.
I think so, because a threat to the unity and stability of our country is not a joke.
You remember Martin People was here and said that we should do ADR, alternative dispute resolution, instead of prosecuting.
See, this is not the first time their issues have come up. I remember as recent as last year or earlier this year, they were arrested and then they were let go. I think we need to take decisive action against this Togoland or Western Togoland or whatever group that claims to be seceding from Ghana. It is not a joke. That's how some of these things start. Before you realize there's a militant wing and extremists take advantage of such cracks to start all sort of, quote, for want of a better word, useless things which may threaten the very existence and stability of this country. So I think we need to find a leader. If he's proving to be an Akokraboni, he needs to be dealt with. Because at his age, he should be imparting.
He's 80 plus, right?
Yes, at his age, he should be imparting. Long years of wisdom and experience and good values, not propagating some of these things. You may have very genuine reasons for wanting to go on this path of self-determination, but I don't think those reasons are, tenable enough, even to the point that claiming even territories which may not have even been part of all of that. So I think that we need to deal with the issues decisively. And for the Volta Regional Police, I think it's a huge blot on their professionalism and their competence. How come a whole public event was held, streamed live on social media, people claiming to be declaring independence? It was not on the radar of the Volta Regional Police Command. They couldn't go in there to arrest them. It was as if intelligence was absolutely zero. They didn't know anything about whatever was happening under their watch. And yet this is a group that's been in existence. We've told this.
And it wasn't a secret event.
Yes.
It was a public event.
People carrying flags and arrest and all of those things. I think that is a dent. It's a dent on the quality of work that they are doing in that enclave. And they really need to be up and doing. But the state needs to be decisive and crack the whip on these guys and ensure that they are dealt with once and for all. And we don't leave any simmering sentiment of all of these issues. Of course, it may just go beyond what they are saying. There may be deep-seated, feelings, sentiments about wanting to create a state for themselves. But the conditions are not right. Nobody can say. Last week we were in this country when we were discussing the blunder, the ultimate blunder of Volta region being left out of the critical road project, which we were told was a typographical error. In the matter of days, the finance minister came to correct it. So as not to give any impression of any marginalization or anything of that sort, because that region has had its own.
So would this fall under the purview of the Ministry of Interior?
Yes, it's an internal affairs issue. I think that they should be arrested. The leader should be found arrested, brought before court, and whatever. If he has to be kept behind bars, they need to keep them behind bars so that this issue does not come up again. We are dealing with other issues of development and we don't need such issues to be derailing the country's progress.
The man is an old man. Some people say, well, it's not a serious issue. People have underlying simmering sentiments, but it's no big deal. What do you make of it?
So, is it because he's an old man that is why he's not?
Well, you see, and I can't quote him verbatim, but a lawyer was here on Tuesday, Martin People, and he said, he thinks that we should have Peace Council should get involved and have conversations
I
with the people.
I listened to Martin. I read a piece.
But not prosecution. He doesn't think it's
I listened to Martin. I read a piece about it also on one of the portals, as it were, when he makes his suggestions. I also listened to Adam Bonner yesterday on piece on Citi News. And of course, I think he's supposed to be a security analyst also, or expert, I don't know. These days of titles, and you know,
when you analyze, you become an expert. So I guess
these days of titles, So I listened to him too. I've listened to government. I've read government's position on this when the Information Ministry issued a statement. I've also listened to Okujeto who is supposed to be coming from the region, and he's an MP. In fact, for that matter, he is also very strongly against it, as it were. So it appears that there's, unity in terms of we all coming out to fight against such people. First of all, like Duke said, we've come a long way. If yesterday, that is during the colonial era, we're not together.
Yeah.
Okay? Post-colonial era, we are Ghana. And we have a constitution. We have laws. You ask whether it lies with the Interior Minister alone. No. It lies also with the Defense Ministry.
Okay.
External aggression, that's how I see them. These are people trying to take away our territory, to as it were, refuse us the benefit of where we have as our land. So we need defense to come in. We should not treat them with kid gloves at all. Your gray hair means a lot. So we don't say because you have gray hair, let's treat you lightly. Your gray hair is supposed to impart wisdom and get people to be together and united. In fact, your house is built on our land. Maybe go and see, he went to one of this assembly to get his permit.
But he doesn't believe that, though.
No.
He says you swallowed up
I'm only telling you what it ought to be, what he should have done as a person. But I'm not justifying or saying that he believes in what I'm saying.
Okay.
Point is, if he doesn't believe in it, we have laws. Take our constitution and take Article 3. Anyone who tries to throw away this our constitution is supposed to be dealt with ruthlessly. That's what the constitution says. Ruthlessly, mercilessly. And in fact, to the extent that the constitution even espouses you to go after the person and first handle the person well. And if you suffer any damage, the state should compensate you. That's what the constitution even tells you. Are you getting my point? So it tells you how strong we are on this matter. The same constitution defines our territory and our territorial integrity. Then somebody comes to say, I want to come and then take away some. Look, you are taking Ghana, you're taking our hearts out. You are trying to divide us. The danger it poses, how Boko Haram started. We should be careful. How ISIS, today, the world is fighting against, started. Okay, it is about orientating the minds of people or getting them to think like you, like the way you said he doesn't think like us. So as soon as he starts this, he gets support. We are told some 11 people have been arrested.
Yeah,
he could have stopped with him, but he's not the individual. So he succeeded in getting some more people.
Yeah.
How well is it going to grow? So if we treat this with kids' gloves, we are jeopardizing our own unity. So I don't agree with Martin when he says they should get peace council to go to talk to him over what? Say what? Don't give him that credence.
Okay.
Treat them like they are criminals. They are people who are going to cause treasonable offenses. Handle them.
You've been
Let it serve as a deterrent.
Felony.
Let it serve as a deterrent to whoever is thinking that way. I hear they have not stopped only Volta region. They are thinking of Volta, running to OT, running to some part of northern region, Western Togoland.
Western Togoland,
and even the northern part, Upper East.
In the concept, is actually a whole stretch.
It's a whole stretch.
All the
running
way to
Upper East. Yeah. Yes, I know. You get that? So these are people who, when we are not careful, they will get somebody or some people buying into this negative thinking, and then plunging our country into turmoil, into serious problems. We will not allow them. Security agencies, I beg you, military, come up. But then let the Interior Ministry also come up. Let's make sure this thing is nipped in the bud.
Come on in.
Yes.
We have places like, so for example, you have Eritrea. Eritrea is a new country, but they seceded from Ethiopia.
The case of
you
Eritrea,
have South Sudan, which is the newest country.
Yeah,
you know, and it broke away from India.
Let's
not cite that.
There's huge sentiment on the ground from the populace supporting those leaders.
It's different,
but we don't have that with these Togoland people.
Even when you go into the history of Eritrea and Ethiopia, that long-standing war has been there, and it got to a time. Even though yes, Ethiopia thought that we were for Eritrea, but Ethiopia had limits. They couldn't get certain areas. These people are not so. You are here enjoying Banku and Akpele with us. And you claim that you are coming to declare independence. But Eritrea, look, it got to a level where Eritrea and Ethiopia, one cannot cross from Ethiopia and marry someone from Eritrea. The same way. You see, so it means that ab initio, there was that division.
Okay.
There was that particular demarcation. And they thought that we could have a country on our own. And they've succeeded. But let us not even push this into the minds of people. Because we have gone beyond that. We have had our independence. Kwame Nkrumah has helped us all to come in together. The Big Six have helped us to come together. We are a nationalist society. And of course, we have to think same. The fact that we have various languages does not mean that we are different. We are not different.
Okay.
We are not different. We have about 48 languages in Ghana, but we are still one. We have a common destiny. We should not treat these people with cage at all. I am saying they should go after them hard.
Okay.
Let the grey hair speak very well to him. Ayag is at large.
Yes, he is. You haven't found him yet.
But your country, you are running from your own country. Western Togoland, come and stay.
But they found a whole lot of citizenship cards that says he's from a different country.
So that was why it's dangerous. That's why we need to make sure that these people should not.
All right, okay. Let's jump on to the last topic. Sex for grades.
Really?
Yes. We're going to delve into that. It's a subject that particularly interests me. Let me read the story there, and then we can discuss it. Sex for grades. UG report finds Jampo Butako guilty of misconduct. I won't read the whole thing, just read bits of it. The University of Ghana Fact-Finding Committee set up to investigate 2 lecturers indicted over the BBC, in quote, Sex for Grades documentary has found them guilty of misconduct. In its report, the committee recommended that the matter should be brought before the university's disciplinary committee for further action. The committee, which was chaired by Justice Vida Akotobanfo, noted that the 2 lecturers, Professor Ransford Jampo and Dr. Paul Butako, based on initial evidence gathered, misconducted themselves in breach of the university's statutes, which stipulates that academic staff are expected to comport themselves in ways that will enhance the image of the university. The committee also found out that the 2 embattled lecturers also breached Statute 42(1)(e)(2), which states that no member of the university shall engage in a course of vexatious conduct that is directed at one or more specific individuals and that is known to be unwelcome. All right. Your comments on this?
First of all, when this matter came up, I think there has been various school of thoughts. People, as usual in Ghana, will try to pass judgment even before the matter is looked into. I think the authorities of UG did the right thing by setting up a committee and getting someone like a former Supreme Court justice to sit on it, look at the whole matter. Thankfully, they had their laws internally governing them, which is a statute that they have voted, as it were, in the 42 clause 2 and blah, 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 blah. You see, they have looked into it. They have established a prima facie case. Now forwarded to the UG Vice Chancellor. He's also forwarded the same to the disciplinary committee. Now they'll be given a hearing as to whether or not indeed they are culpable. Then of course maybe measures will be taken as well. It's a process. It's just like in the Constitution, when you are seeking to take the Chief Justice out, you first need a petition to the President. He has to get to the CJ. The CJ will establish whether or not a committee will put in place, establish whether or not there will be a prima facie case, and then of course it then goes now for proper, if you like, hearing. Then we look at it. So I'm sure that is a process. I don't want to, we've already spoken about this lengthily, and my point here is that if the law finds you culpable, and of course you are supposed to be punished, so be it.
Okay.
I mean, no one is above the law. It's not also to say that Professor Jampo is completely guilty. That's not what they're seeking to say. I'm sure it's seeking to say that, look, there has been some misconduct, of course, which warrants a disciplinary committee looking into it. Maybe yet hearing is yet to be given again, and then we'll move on, as it were. I would just leave it here and say that, well, it is and should be kind of a subtle warning to all of us who find ourselves in the public domain. We just need to know that there are certain practices, certain utterances, certain way of behavior that will not conform with the laws that governs us. So going forward, it's something we all need to look into and see how we go about it. However, I certainly think that Professor Jampo's conduct, if it is what the BBC did, for me, I really don't see, if it's what they did, I really don't see his culpability. But the wisdom lies with the committee. They have said it, and then let's move on.
Okay. Duke,
for me, it's refreshing that due process is taking its course, and that the University of Ghana, in and of itself, has structures to deal with such challenges. But the report would make for very interesting reading. I think the university should release the report into public domain, looking at the manner of interest and public attention that this issue has captured across the country. I mean, we're discussing it here, which means it's a big deal. I think the report has to be made public so that we all can see what is in there. I am finding it difficult to come to terms with how such a determination was made, especially when the people involved were not students of the University of Ghana. It's stated clearly in the exposé that these were not students. But that does not also take away the fact that
but you know, they broadened the initial when they were
say that whoever has had
whoever has had issues.
That's what I'm saying, that it will be interesting for us to see the report, so that if indeed there are others who came up, because we also know that in the first 1 week after there was that window was open, they didn't get anybody coming up, and they had to aggressively say that, oh, we have this WhatsApp line, we have this number. If it's anonymous, we will not know who it is, and all of those things. So I think the report should be released, and let's see how things would go, especially at the disciplinary committee. I think that, based on the work, I didn't see any evidence for sexual grades. But in the way they conducted themselves, because some of them, it's a bit overboard, especially when, even though there were no students, this was a superior and an inferior relationship, which I think that's
where I'm thinking the ratio to this particular prima facie case that they've established is coming from. Maybe you have certain laws, you have gone past that, the vexations comments that they talk about and all that. Maybe I'm sure that's what has informed.
I think we need to. I think the University of Ghana needs to.
If not the actors, the action itself. I don't know.
Well, the committee will
release the report.
I believe they will do a good job at the end of the day.
They should release the report.
All right. Thank you very much for watching the show this morning. I was joined by Kamal Deen Abdulai, who is the Deputy Director of Communications with NPP, and also Duke Mensah Opoku, who is our parliamentary correspondent here at Citi TV, Citi FM. Thank you very much.
Hi guys, I hope you enjoyed this video.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Citi Tube,
for exclusive breakfast daily content and other Citi TV programs.
Like, comment, and share with your friends.